Liverpool last October. Davis may also be able to help with an investigation into the illegal importation of £75,000 worth of cannabis resin, which was dropped out of a plane at Tilstock Airport in Shropshire on the 4th of August. Delroy Davis is 35, 6'2", slim and dresses smartly. If you see him, don't approach him. He could be armed. Just let us know immediately if you know where he is now.
And can you help us identify this man who 6 months ago went into Barclays Bank in Sudbury Hill? We believe he may have information about a number of stolen cheques. The next day he was back again. The cashier remembers he withdrew money. He had a London accent and staff say he was very plausible. If you know him, please call.
Mohammed Ramzan lived in Bradford, but locals haven't seen him since last August. Just over 2 years ago, he set up a business in West Yorkshire offering interest-free loans. People had to deposit a large sum of money for a year to qualify for the scheme. Then, last year, investors became increasingly anxious when they were unable to contact him. £350,000 worth of their money has gone missing. He's 44, around 5'4", with a stocky build. His dark hair is receding, although he sometimes wears a wig. If you know where Mohammed Ramzan is now, or you can help with any of our other photocall cases, please call us.
And the number to ring here is always 081 811 8181. That's 081 811 8181.
Victims of rape often feel an irrational sense of shame, even though logically the shame lies squarely with the attacker. And the understandable reaction of a woman who has suffered in this way is to remain quietly anonymous and try to pick up the threads of her life out of the public gaze. Muriel Harvey, however, has shown extraordinary courage. She decided to brave the limelight, confront her experience head-on and speak out about what happened to her.
I'm a native of Ludlow. I've been back here for the last 30 years. I'm very involved in the community. I've been a magistrate for 21 years. It's a very small, close-knit community. Everyone's a personal friend.
Being Christmas Eve, business in this historic old market town in Shropshire was slowly winding down as the festive season began in earnest. Castle Garage in Corve Street, though, was still busy, as people like this local man were filling up with petrol to last over the Christmas break.
When I first saw the man, I thought he was looking at the second-hand cars. But as I watched him, I changed my mind. He was stood completely still. I thought it was suspicious. Why stand so still at Cole Garage on Christmas Eve? I went to get some water from the tap. He was motionless. He didn't move a muscle.
Inside the garage shop, the security camera shows the man as he comes in to buy a bar of chocolate. This is about 6 p.m. Witnesses remember he was around 30, tall, thin, gaunt-faced, and wearing a very bulky waist-length jacket.
And Joseph also went up from Galilee, from the city of Nazareth, to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem.
St. Lawrence's Church was crammed with people at midnight mass. Others were making their way home from various Christmas celebrations.
Hi, it's me. Can you pick me up? I'll see you at the school.
At about the same time, witnesses remember seeing a man in the doorway of the council offices in Corve Street, just across the road from the phone box. He started walking towards Coronation Avenue, away from the town centre.
I went out for a Christmas drink with my workmates and we had a really good time. I was feeling really great, looking forward to Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I carried on walking towards Ludlow School and as I neared Burway Lane, I saw this man walking towards me.
Get off me! Leave me alone! Help me get away from that man!
Get in the back.
I felt really lucky, but at the same time I was terrified. I was just crying and shaking, and for weeks afterwards I just couldn't go out to the house by myself. I was too frightened.
5 minutes later, as she was reporting the attack to the police, a passing motorist noticed a man in the same area, walking towards the town centre.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, my love. Bless you. Bye-bye. Bless you, dear. Bye-bye.
That was a lovely service.
Good, lovely. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas.
How are you? Bless you, lovely.
It was about 1:20 when we left the church. I only live about 5 minutes walk away. I went across the square and turned round to look back at the town, quite deserted, and I thought how beautiful it looked. As I went past the buttery, I began to hear the footsteps behind me. Didn't really think anything of it, because I'm used to walking home alone. I've always said that if I couldn't walk home in safety in Ludlow, it would be the end of the world as I know it.
Jolly cold, isn't it?
I didn't think anything, but how do I survive? I told him I was an elderly lady and had a bad heart, but he obviously wasn't convinced. I had a very strong grip round my neck and was becoming bruised.
Mrs. Harvey was dragged into the grounds of Dinham House Museum, where she was raped and subjected to a lengthy and terrifying ordeal. Back on the pavement, where the initial struggle took place, this hat was found.
Well, I walked away feeling extremely angry. I also felt quite heroic that I'd survived. I felt for our own community that there would be tremendous fear, and also that other younger or older women would have suffered much more than I did. And because of all this, because this man has no right to engender fear in our community or in individuals here, I want to see him caught.
Well, she really is quite an inspiration. Mr. Jones, Mrs. Harvey has helped your artist build up a picture of her attacker. How does she describe him?
Well, she describes the man as being a white male, between 30 and 40 years, between 5 foot 8 inches and 5 feet 10 inches tall, very slim build, clean shaven, with mousy coloured short hair, receding, and a very high forehead. He was actually dressed, had a chunky bomber style jacket on, dark coloured, and a dark coloured scarf.
Now, the man who attacked the younger woman earlier on that same evening, he wasn't wearing a hat. Do you think it was the same man?
Personally speaking, I do. Bearing in mind that Ludlow is a small market town, and for two incidents such as this to happen on the morning of Christmas morning, so close to each other, I have no doubt whatsoever that both incidents are connected.
What about the man at the garage then? He could have been another man again, or do you think he's the same one?
Well, it's very difficult to know, bearing in mind that he was seen at the garage some 6 hours before the first incident. But of course he is described quite similarly to the ones described, the man described by our victims. But he was wearing a woolen hat, the man in the garage. And of course, as you're aware, we did recover a woolen hat at the scene of the second offence.
We don't know if this is the same hat as the one he was wearing in that security film.
We don't.
This is the one, or a replica of the one that was found near Dinham House, where Mrs. Harvey was attacked.
Yes, it was.
It's a hand-knitted hat. Do you think somebody would recognise that? It's quite distinctive.
Well, it's very distinctive, Sue. It is a black woolen ski-type hat, and it has two distinctive lines going right round its circumference, red and blue, and dependent on how you pull it down over your face as to which colour you would see.
Right, it may or may not belong to the attacker. We need to eliminate it. If you can help, if you recognise any of those details or descriptions, please ring. The number here is 081 811 8181, and more of Mr. Jones's colleagues are waiting for calls at Leominster Police Station, and that number is 0568 612345. So once again, take a special note of the number. Our lines here are quite busy. It's 0568. The